Hi, I'm Tristan, and this is Thinking About Politics. So today, we're asking the big questions. Why does politics matter? Right now, there's a lot of people who might have clicked on this by accident going, it doesn't, and clicking away. But before you do, let me tell you, I think the word politics gets a real bad rap, and there's no reason for it. Today we're going to talk about why politics might be one of the most noble endeavors human beings can engage in. And if you don't believe me now, hang out to the end of the video to see if I convince you at all. If I don't convince you, let me know in the comments below. As somebody who appears on a channel called Thinking About Politics, you can probably imagine that I like thinking about politics. And that's weird for a lot of people. For a lot of folks I talk to, politics is just something that makes people angry. It's something that divides people. It's what makes family meals uncomfortable. It's what makes your reunions with your old friends get awkward when all of a sudden somebody says, yeah, they really ought to build a wall, and you gotta go. And I'm not gonna lie, it is probably not the most pleasant part of American politics in this day and age. However, that's just one small piece of politics as a whole. Let's talk about what politics is. Now, a quick internet search will tell you that the word politics comes from the Greek, and that in the Greek, politikia looks something like this. It's all Greek to me. But it's something meaning affairs of the cities. If you know anything about the classical Greek period, you'll know that there were a bunch of different city-states that ruled the surrounding territories and were governed in different fashions. Some had monarchies, some had tyrants, and then of course you had cities like Athens that even dabbled with something called democracy, although we probably wouldn't recognize it today. And you can imagine before there were cities, there were villages, so there was probably something like affairs of the villages. And before there were villages, there might have been tribes, so there was probably something like affairs of the tribes. And this could probably go all the way back to the earliest humans there were, where you just had family clans and you had, affairs of the family. Flash forward a couple 100,000 years and you have us now where we have states, and now you have affairs of the states. So what I'm trying to pitch at you here is that politics is not some sort of alien thing human beings developed. Human beings interact together. We are social creatures. That interaction, that association into larger groups, creates its own dynamics. You get enough individuals together and they form something new. That new thing is not just a collection of those individuals, it is something more. It is different now. So politics, in a way, is the art, is the study of human interaction, of how groups interact within one another and with other groups, how power dynamics play out, how rules get established, how rules get challenged. The broad array of politics is that total spectrum, the way in which humans work out their group interactions and dynamics. Even if I've sold you on that point, you might say, hey, why is that so noble? And hey, you got a good question. I think it has to do with what groups of humans are capable of. We have reached a point where human ingenuity and the pinnacle of human achievement may just be our own annihilation. The two largest threats confronting us are nuclear annihilation, that one country will shoot off a nuclear warhead and others will respond, and the other is global warming, man-made climate change. Both of those issues have to do with humans, and humans doing something to themselves and to this planet that may be irreversible. Now, let's say I got you this far. Let's say I've sold you on the idea that politics is about how groups interact with one another and within one another. And let's say I've sold you on the fact that really big groups of humans can now annihilate the planet. Still, some of you might quite rightly say, so what? The universe has been around a long time before us. It'll be around a long time after us. It doesn't matter so much. And I certainly understand where that's coming from. Except here's the thing. The 20th century changed the game for humanity. Okay? It changed the game for politics completely. The presence of nuclear war and the threat of climate change caused by our economic exploitation of the planet alone created a new urgency. But what we learned in the field of astronomy is equally startling. Throughout the 20th century, scientists realized that the biological basis of life is chemically possible anywhere you have the right conditions. There was no reason to think that life is not a plentiful thing out there. Furthermore, scientists began theorizing about the existence of interstellar civilizations. How, given the amount of time the universe has been around, it's quite possible that the galaxy is swarming with old civilizations just waiting to take humanity into the fray. And as the 20th century wore on, and as we kept looking, and as we kept listening, we found nothing. We hear nothing. From this planet, looking outwards, there is a deafening silence and loneliness across this universe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 2 minutes after posting this video, aliens will land on the White House lawn. Maybe 3 minutes after you watch this years from now, we find signs that there's actually alien life around another planet. It really could happen like that. But as of right now, we have found nothing. So when we look at the universe, in all of its variability, in all of its barrenness, we see something truly unique on this planet. There is life here unlike any place else we've seen. And there's no reason to think that there are places in this solar system that shouldn't be habitable. But certainly, they are not habitable like the Earth is habitable. Here, we have biological organisms that have figured out how to pull energy from the sun, how to pull food from the chemical reactions of the Earth. The battle between predator and prey has forced an arms race that ultimately led to the development of bipedal apes who are able to make up funny stories about the world around them. And as that curiosity developed, we're eventually able to look up at the stars and say, oh my God, look at what we have here. Look at how rare and unique this appears to be. And in that very same moment where we realize just how strikingly rare this oasis is, we developed the exact tools to destroy it. Like, hey, I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but the fact that Earth is so, Earth-like and everything else is so not, well, at very minimum, it means we should probably not pollute the place. We should probably not engage in nuclear warfare that makes the place an irradiated rock. And politics? Politics is the very art by which we will save this planet or destroy it. But what should really bring this home is this. A photo taken on February 14th, 1990. See, back in the 70s, the US had launched the Voyager probes, and they were the farthest things that mankind had ever sent away from Earth. And so, one of the guys working on the project, named Carl, asked to turn the cameras back towards Earth and to take a picture. This is the picture they took back. That guy, Carl, he was pretty moved by that picture. He went on to say, look at that dot again. That's here. That's home. That's us.
Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
For the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. That was, that guy Carl, May 11th, 1996. So, yeah, I hope I was able to challenge your notion that politics is really just about yelling at each other over Thanksgiving dinner, and that it's actually a more noble exercise in saving the world and protecting this really special place, unlike anything else we have found. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. You've been great. I hope to see you again next time, but until then,
I ain't got time to kiss you now, I'm busy with this mule.
Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand.